about 4 numbers late, and they kept going, numbers. I said, oh, I guarantee my number must have been one of those early numbers. But it turned out that was one of, look, that was a rough war. And there's another war. What do we get out of it? We got to get things out of it. When we use our military, a lot of people say, like Jeb and Hillary, they said, Trump's tone, his tone. We need tough tone. We have to have tough tone. They're cutting off our heads. They're chopping our people's heads off. If they're a Christian, their heads are coming off in the Middle East. We need a tough tone. So what happened is I always felt a little guilty. And I was always, like other people, frankly, that didn't serve, because I have people that did serve and I have friends that served, and they're very proud of it. Some are no longer with us because of the fact that they served. They're very brave in many ways. But I've done a lot of things. I built, as a lot of the folks know, the Vietnam Memorial in New York with a group of folks that were fantastic. I contributed a lot of money. It's in a way, it's a way of making up. It was very expensive, very good. It's downtown Manhattan. People love it. And the funny thing, I've built a lot of things and people forget. But the Vietnam Memorial to this day, if I'm walking down the street, which is getting to be less and less, it's getting to be a little tough. But I would tell you, the people, the military, so often they come up to me, Mr. Trump, thank you for building the Vietnam Memorial. That was many years ago. That was in the 1990s. Thank you so much for building the Vietnam Memorial. They still thank me for it. They remember it. The people remember. The military, they have unbelievable heart. Another thing that happened, I think it was 1996, I got a call from Rudy Giuliani and I got a call from a few other people. The Veterans Parade, the Memorial Day Parade, which was our big parade, they moved it to Riverside Drive. Riverside Drive has no people. They took it off Fifth Avenue and they took it off Broadway. And they moved it to an area, and they had like 300 people show up for the Memorial Day Parade, which was a big, military parade. And people said to me, that's disgusting. And it was covered so big that there were no people. The soldiers would walk down. In many cases, they became very elderly, and they'd be walking down there with nobody to cheer, nobody to anything. And a group of people came to see me, and they said, we have to make it up. We can't let that happen. And the following year, we had one of the biggest parades in the history of New York, down Fifth Avenue, down Broadway. We had one of the biggest parades. You can look this up. One of the biggest parades, over 1 million people, one of the biggest parades in the history of New York. So, which was one of my proudest days. To be honest, that was one of my proudest days, because you had to see the first year was so horrible to see it. And boy, did the news play that up. Nobody cares. Nobody cared. And we all cared, but we had to do something about it. So it cost a lot of money, but we pulled off something, and I pulled off something in that case. That was something I'm very proud of, really proud of. So I love the country. I want to see great things for the country, and we will see great things for the country. Okay? Okay, question? Who's got another mic? Do you have a mic over here? Go ahead. Hello.
Hi, my name is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
I wanted to ask you that now that China has agreed to implement a cap-and-trade program to reduce carbon emissions, if you think America should do the same, so we don't lose the economic and environmental edge to China.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that now. The young guys, the young, good-looking guy back there, and it's fine. It's good. There's nothing like idealism. China's not going to abide by it, okay? China's buying coal. We're not allowed to burn coal anymore, essentially. All our furnaces are being dried up, and China's taking our coal. They're burning it. And, when you're talking about the planet and you're talking about the universe, the difference between China and the U.S. is like walking over to this chair. So they're spewing fumes into the atmosphere, and we're not. They're doing their factories at much lower pricing. I mean, much lower. We have so many restrictions, rules, regulations that you can't even breathe. And we're making it impossible. China will not obey by what they sign. They're not going to sign anything meaningful. And frankly, a lot of people question global warming, and we have a lot of discussion about that. But China will not abide by those rules. Now, one of the things that they're signing and one of the things that they're insisting on is the United States has to act immediately, and they don't have to act for many years. Immediately, that's like one of the deals we make. That's like one of the deals we make. They don't have to do it now. They can do it in many years. We have to do it immediately. That's like Japan. You know, if Japan gets attacked, we have to immediately come to its defense. We have no choice. We have to come to its defense. But if we get attacked, Japan does not have to do anything for us. These are the deals we have, folks. I mean, it's crazy. What? What was that? These people, stand up. Stand up. What did he say? Go ahead. Speak up.
Oh, there we are. Thank you. We bombed Japan. We forced them into.
No, I understand. Well, you know, they weren't exactly nice to us.
They
did do Pearl Harbor.
Military.
Excuse me. Who did it first? Who did it first? Didn't we have a thing called Pearl Harbor? Huh? You're right. You know what? You know what? We bombed the hell out of them because they came at us first. And they did a number on us on that Sunday morning that was the greatest sneak attack of all time. The only thing worse, frankly, was what they did, what was done, as you know, and by you know who, to the World Trade Center. Because that was an attack on civilians. At least Japan, it was a total rotten sneak attack, but at least they were going against the military. We had people knocking out buildings where innocent civilians were having dinner and where they were in an office. That was the worst attack of all time, the World Trade Center. But, I mean, and I appreciate you being a idealistic young man, but Japan attacked us. Japan would have never stopped, except we were tougher and stronger and meaner and smarter than them. And we knocked the hell out of them. Isn't it amazing how, I mean, young guy, good guy, but isn't it amazing how quickly people forget, though? Isn't it really? There's a case of it. Look what we did to Japan. We didn't want to do that. So it's one of those things. Okay, how about another question over here? Go ahead, any place. Just give somebody a mic, yeah. He's not a very aggressive guy with a mic, but he's a good guy. He's the least aggressive mic person I've ever seen, but he's great. Okay, go ahead. Look at this man.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you for coming to Waterville Valley.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Barry Fish, and I live here in Waterville. And my question revolves around Medicare and Social Security.
Right.
I'm
I love
1 month
question.
away from collecting. I'm 65 years old. I'm 1 month away from collecting.
Really? Wow.
I'm one of the fortunate ones. But we all know Social Security and Medicare is becoming insolvent. I've got a young
Well, that's
gentleman.
largely because our country is insolvent. You know that. If we can
have a
make our
young
country
gentleman
rich,
here.
you know, it's a great question, though. It's important. People have signed up for Social Security. They've paid into Social Security. They've been spending a lot of money like you have all your life. And then you get these politicians. They say, we want to cut it down. We want to raise the age. We're going to give you much less than you bargained for. No. I'm not doing that. Now, we're going to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. You know, there are thousands and thousands of cards that are going to people that are 112 years old. Did you see that? Thousands. It's like hundreds of millions of dollars where the cards are going to people that are 112 years old. Thousands of cards. Okay, all that stuff goes. That's just bad management, and nobody's surprised to hear this now. But we're going to make our country rich again, and we're going to take care of our Medicare, and we're going to take care of our Social Security, and we're going to be able to do it. We're going to be able to do it easily. We got to bring our country back. We got to get our jobs back and all of this, and then Medicare and Social Security will take care of itself. I mean, I was watching Ben Carson the other day say he wants to get rid of Medicare. Medicare actually works, okay? There's abuse and there's fraud. And there's things that are going on that shouldn't be going on, but we'll take care of that. But Medicare is a program, I think you know, that works. And I just think it's unfair that people who have spent their life paying in, and they paid in a lot, and all of a sudden they're going to raise the age by 4 years, and they're going to do all sorts of things. No, that's not going to happen with me. Not going to happen with me. We're going to make our country rich again, and we're going to save as it is, but in a better form. But we're going to save our Social Security and our Medicare. Okay? Thank you. And I think I'm the only one that says that of the Republicans. I think I'm the only one that says that. And frankly, I'm the only one that can do it because in order to do it, you have to bring in a lot of good things. Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead. Sure.
Good evening, Mr. Trump.
How are you?
Good. Today is World AIDS Day.
It was what?
Today is World AIDS Day.
Yes, good. World AIDS Day. Yes.
As a successful businessman, you know a good investment when you see it. Our partnership with the Global Fund to fight AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis saves about 100 lives a month.
Right.
There's a very well-documented track record of success.
Great.
If you're president, will you make sure the United States continues to fund its full 1/3 share of the Global Fund?
Honestly, it sounds good to me. I have to look. But it sounds really good to me. Okay? It really does. I mean, that's the kind of thing we should be doing. I love it. Okay? Sounds good to me. Totally. Go ahead. Right there. Look how excited she is.
What do you want?
Oh, boy. Look at that. Look at the excitement in her eyes. That's called youth. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Trump. I have a question for you.
Uh-oh. This could be a killer question, too. You know, it's always the one that you least suspect. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to college in a couple of months. How will you make college affordable for the middle class?
Okay, good. By the way, it is a question going around to all over New Hampshire and Iowa, in particular these two places, South Carolina. It is a question that I get probably more than any other question. I get a second question, too, because kids are borrowing up to the hilt. They're working hard. They're going to nice colleges. They're doing well. They're good students. They get out. They can't get a job. So the best thing I can do is I'm going to make sure when you get out, you're going to get jobs. That's the most important thing. But the other thing, look how she's so happy. Stand up again. I love her. The enthusiasm. Isn't that beautiful? Look at her. I think I could give her a really horrible answer and she'd love it, you know? But we're going to make it because, you know, one of the only programs that the United States makes a lot of money on is college loans, right? They make a lot of money. And one of the things I want to look into, because in all due respect, these colleges, they're going through the roof. How come they're going up so much? Why are they going up, right? Look, stand up, sir. This guy's smart, and your wife looks even smarter than you. Stand up. Who's the smart one? She's smarter than you, I'll bet, right? But it's true, right? We have businesses, and, you know, it's 2%. These colleges are going through the roof. And I think one of the reasons, thank you, I think one of the reasons they're going through the roof very simply is because the college loan, it's given out by the United States. They give out these vast percentages of the student aid and of the loans that students are borrowing. And these colleges they're just going up too fast. There's something going on. And you look at the kind of salaries paid to the heads of the colleges, it's like they're running a business, a real business, a big business, and we have to stop that from happening. And with that being said, we have to do something with the interest rates because the kids can't afford it. They can't afford it. You have kids going to colleges, they can't afford it. Now, if you listen to Bernie Sanders, everything's free. The problem with that is your taxes are going to go through the roof. There's nothing that's free, you know? Because I'd like to say politically, darling, congratulations. She's so cute. Come on over here. Can you get over here? The enthusiasm. Look at that. The enthusiasm. I actually was giving her bad news, and she said, thank you so much. It was great. But no, Bernie Sanders, you know, somebody's got to pay for it. And then Hillary's being dragged over to the left. She doesn't want to be, but she's being dragged over to the left. And what it's going to mean is your taxes are going to go through the roof. In my tax plan, I'm cutting taxes so low for the middle class. But, and I have to say this, young people like the two young ladies over there, they want to be able, when they get out, they want to be able to feel like, boom, I did it. I got that loan done. There's something to that. But we can't have a plan where, I mean, basically, look, he's a socialist, I guess. That's what you'd say. I say he's a communist. If you look at some of his stuff, nobody knows what the hell he is. I don't think he knows what he is, if you want to know the truth. But he has a plan. Everybody gets free everything. That will destroy the colleges. It'll destroy our incentives. It'll destroy our youth. But we have to do something with the cost of colleges. It's too high. It's gone up too fast. There's something going on there. And one of the reasons is the money is coming in. It's going to the students. The problem is the students are on the hook for it. And we're going to get those college costs down, and we're going to get those interest rates down, okay? And we're going to get you jobs. When you finish, you're going to have jobs. Because the biggest problem, they graduate and they don't have any jobs. Okay, we'll do one or two more. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, love the hair, feathered and lethal.
Love the hair. This is the best. Love the hair. I love this guy. Beautiful. Okay, thank you. It is mine. You know,
anytime.
do I take abuse with his hair? Thank you very much. I like your hair. I'll trade you right now, believe me.
That's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as successful as you are, to be successful, what do you suggest young adults, much like myself, should major in university?
Okay, so I love that question. So I'm successful. What? Because I make speeches about success. I love the concept of doing that, and I do that. I give a lot of money to charity because they pay me a lot of money, and I give that money to charity. And I will tell you, you have to do something you love. You have to. And well, he's going to run in the Trump campaign. I love that, but I appreciate it. But you have to do what you love. And I've seen it. I've had so many different stories, but I've seen it. A lot of friends will call me and they'll say, Donald, and they're successful guys in many cases. They'll say, could you see my son or my daughter, and could you talk about success? And I'll see that they like, and I'll do it. It's hard sometimes. You know, you're busy, you're a little bit busy. Excuse me, I can't do it now. I'm running for president, right? And running a business. I'm running a business at the same time. I want to stop with a business and let the country be like, you know, the thing I totally focus on. Oh, will that be easy? In many respects, it's going to be easier than running a business. But what you have to do is you have to get in two things. Never quit, never give up, and you have to do what you like. Now, if you can also find something that's good. For instance, there are some jobs that you may like, but they're not very profitable. It's going to be very hard for you to become rich with those jobs. But if you love it, that's okay. But if you can find something you love that's also good, like I tell people, real estate's good, oil is good. Oil has always been, you know, energy has always been a great sector. And I tell people go into that. But some people want to be professors, they want to be teachers, which is more important than all of it. But you won't make as much money, but you'll love it. You got to do what you love. I have so many friends where they forced their children into doing things that the kids didn't want to do because they said, oh, I don't want my son doing this or that. And I say, you're making a terrible mistake. And I'm almost always right about it. If you do what you love, and if you never, ever quit, because I've seen people that are really, so I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I've seen some of the people that graduated with me were really like beyond smart. But they were missing that stick-to-itiveness, you know, that thing where you don't quit. And other guys went with me, and they were not as smart, but they were really driven, totally driven. They'd never leave. They'd never quit. They would never, ever quit. And they became tremendously successful. And the smarter people, and they were smarter, the smarter people weren't as successful, and in some cases weren't successful at all because they gave up and they quit. So do what you like and love your parents and all that stuff, but say, Mom, Dad, I love you, but this is what I love. This is what I want to do. But listen to them because they also know what they're doing, believe me. But never, ever quit. Go after it, okay? Such a beautiful question. Beautiful guy. Beautiful guy. So, well, should we end this or do a couple of more questions? More? More. All right, well, we'll do a couple of more then. Give that guy in the red hat. I see he's been up there so long. And he looks like my kind of vet, right?
No, I'm actually not a vet. But
okay, go ahead.
My name's Dennis Wagner. I'm from Littleton, New Hampshire. I want to make a little bit of a statement and then a question.
Ahead.
My concern is the civil decay we have in society today.
Right.
We can see it. It's very prevalent with this Planned Parenthood. And
Right.
if you remember, think back, one of the probably the biggest cases in the past 10, 20 years was Kermit Gosnell, the beheading of the fetuses in Philadelphia.
Right. It's been a very big subject.
So with that horror and that carnage in mind, and you can see how when a bill is enacted as the Roe versus Wade thing, all of these things tend to decay, and just devolve into this butchery that we see now.
Right.
Will you try to
Defund
that and repeal Roe versus Wade?
Yeah, well, the answer is yes, defund. The other, you need a lot of Supreme Court justices, but we're going to be looking at that also very, very carefully. But you need a lot of Supreme Court judges. But defund, yes, we're going to be doing that. Okay? Okay. How about one of these young guys right over there? Go ahead. Good question, by the way. Very good question.
So I'm kind of going to go off of the one that was one before the last, but what's one thing that that you can tell young kids or people my age and all the kids to come that the America that you're going to make great, how can we keep it great so that it's great for our kids and the kids like from that?
Well, great. Very good question. So I have children, and Ivanka, everybody knows Ivanka. She's very hardworking, very smart, very good person. She's, doing a great job. She just finished up Trump National Doral in Miami, hundreds of acres of land right in the middle of Miami. Now she's very much involved in the old post office, and she has her own business. She sells shoes and dresses, and she's very entrepreneurial. People ask me, what do you do? I'm getting credit, and I hope, I knock on wood, because, all of a sudden, somebody that was good, and who knows what happens. It's very fragile out there. It's very fragile. I've seen people doing really well, young children, and all of a sudden you find out they have a huge drinking problem or a huge drug problem. But one of the things that people ask me, and they ask me a lot, is what do you do about your children? How do you keep your children? Because my children all work hard, and they love it, and they do well at it. And they're asking me a lot and more about my children. And I say, since they were little, since they could barely speak, I'd say no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. And they're this big. They're this big. And I remember Ivanka looks, Dad, you're driving me crazy every time you say that. But I'd say it once a week, twice a week, 3 times. No drugs. She didn't even know what drugs were. She didn't know what alcohol was. Barely know what it. But before they even knew what these things were. And I would just drum it into them. And I see it as so important because I have friends that are very smart and they have brilliant kids. Go to Harvard. One of them I know went to MIT and he had a tremendous problem because he had a drinking problem. And the world is so tough. And it's so competitive that you can't put yourself as a child or even as a parent, if you want that child to be successful, at a disadvantage of letting them drink or letting them take drugs. Because it's not going to work. They're going to be at a tremendous disadvantage, and ultimately they may never recover. It's so hard to recover from drugs. They say it's even harder to recover from alcohol, which surprises me, actually. But maybe it's the social thing. You're sitting down and everybody's drinking and they're all having a drink for dinner. Maybe that's tougher. But they say alcohol is actually in many ways tougher than stopping with the drugs. But I tell people what's really easy, like I never had a drink. I never had a glass of alcohol. And I in all fairness, I've watched people and I study people, and I had a great tutor on this. But I look and I see what it does to people when they lose control, and a lot of times they lose control. I had a friend who went to the Wharton School of Finance with me, a very smart guy, and I'll never forget when I was young, 18, 19 years old, he hated the taste of scotch, hated it. He couldn't stand it. Oh, this stuff is terrible. But he tried to develop. He said, I want to develop because, he became a massive alcoholic. He developed the taste all right. He became a massive alcoholic. And failed with everything. He lost his family, lost his home. This is a brilliant guy, lost everything because of alcohol. Well, I tell people, with your children, no drugs. And I tell the children, no drugs, no alcohol. And I say, no cigarettes, because cigarettes are just unhealthy. One thing I can tell you, because I don't smoke. I have some bad habits. But I don't smoke. You don't want to know what they are. Don't ask me. Somebody's going to get up. Please, that would be too many people back there with those cameras. But I say to people, if you don't drink, it's so easy not to want alcohol. If you don't smoke, I watch people smoke. It looks terrible to me. It's dry. It's terrible. But I have friends, they gave up smoking, and they can't do it. And they look at somebody smoking. To them, it's like, oh, boy, I wish I could have that cigarette. Just that one more cigarette. Then it turns out to be a disaster. But if you don't drink and if you don't take drugs, your children, meaning your children, are going to have a tremendously enhanced chance of really being successful and having a good life and having a happy life. And one other thing, I'll say this is a little, interesting for some people, I hope. I have found, I deal with the richest people in the world. Carl Icahn is supporting me. Carl Icahn's one of the great businessmen of the world, and I'll put him in charge of China. I'll say, Carl, do me a favor, take a look at the trade pacts of China. He'll come back, no way, meaning no way will they get away with it, okay? Believe me, we have the greatest business people in the world, but we don't use them. We use political hacks. It's true, we use guys that give donations. We use donors. They give donations, and we get them into government. I will say this. We have people that, if we use our people correctly, and if we get away from this world of horrible, disgusting politics, we will be able to do things that we've never, ever been able to do as a country. I mean, we will be able to do some things that will be absolutely amazing. But anyway, just to finish, no drugs. Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you take drugs? Don't tell me. No? Kid, good-looking kid. Looks like, do you want to be a movie actor? You should be able to stand up. Look how handsome this kid is. Hey, by the way, you're very handsome, too. I have to... He's a handsome... They got a lot of handsome people up here. But you don't take... Do you drink? No. Not good. Wow. Okay, he's going to be successful. Going to be successful. Good question. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. All right, we'll do one more. How about one more? You want? Okay, come on. This young man right here, who I met backstage, who's going to take care of his father, right? I'll bet he's going to give me a good question. Go ahead.
What will my life be like when I'm older if you become president?
That might be the best question. I hate to tell you. Okay, so here's what my hope would be. That if I become president, your life will be much better than it would have been if I didn't become president. It's as simple as that. You know? It's as simple as that. And I'll go one step further. If somebody else becomes president and they're not good, they don't do the job, they don't do what they have to do, your life will not be as good. It just won't be as good. So if I become president, I will promise you I'm going to work so hard. I won't care about my company. Somebody says, oh, well, you have a company. I don't care about that. I don't care. It's wonderful. It's great. The kids will run it. The executives, I have good executives, they'll run it. My 100% focus is going to be making the United States of America much better for you than it could be under any other person. Okay? We love you, man. Take care. Take care of your father. Thank you, everybody. This was great, and I appreciate it. And get out and vote. Get out and vote. We got to get out and vote. Last time they didn't vote. We got to get out and vote. We're going to do a real job. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.